All right, so it's Friday and people aren't having the show opened up with the Kim Babbage voice. It's me this time. Kim's on holidays, so
yeah, with authority too. Well opened.
Tried to. I was psyching myself up for.
Got the gavel up.
I haven't been asleep since 2 in the morning.
Is it in the bathroom, just like
Exactly.
Rocky themes, you know how it is. So I guess we'll get right down to it. I mean, one of the big stories in sports, anyways, this week was obviously Jason Collins, a professional basketball player, becoming the first professional athlete in the Big Four sports, that being the NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, and the NBA, to come out as gay. Obviously, a massive story for that. For you guys, did it affect you in any way, shape, or form? Or are you just kind of like, okay, well, happy that now one has started, maybe it starts the line?
For me, I was blown away. I was so surprised when I heard about this because I just assumed that everyone knew that 1 out of 10 professional athletes were gay. But
did you just make up that stat?
No. Yeah.
You've done major research.
I've done tons and tons of studies. Yeah, no, I just assumed that everyone knew there's a certain percentage of people who are gay, and this transcends whether it's professional sports or whatever.
Or the guy that works at 7-Eleven, like, whatever.
And it actually blew my mind that this actually was the first person to come out as, because Glenn Anderson in the 80s played for the Oilers and he was gay, but I guess he didn't actually announce that he was gay. People
and that's
knew,
the big thing right now is the fact that Collins is a free agent right now. So technically he hasn't been signed to play next season. So that's the argument. You know, if he doesn't play for a team next year, is it still the same? Do you think that taints it at all?
Also, it'll be interesting to see how teams move to pick him up. And if that's going to affect anything, because that's like an actual statement on like the way people see that too, and the managers and the owners,
whether they're a gay-friendly franchise.
Exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, you know what?
Well, maybe those southern teams are going to be.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. I would be surprised, or maybe we will be pleasantly surprised. I don't know, but like it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. I kind of felt like more like when I heard the news, first of all I was proud of the guy for even doing it, because I mean that takes a lot of like cojones. But I would also say too is that I would also hope that one day that this isn't even like a topic in the media, and this isn't even like a thing. Like this shouldn't even be as big of a thing as it is.
It's ridiculous that we even are talking about this, because it should be. I mean, it should be so easy for people to, and it's not, and that sucks. And hopefully things change, but it should.
Well, you're the sports guy. Why is it such a big deal? Because in arts and celebrityism,
absolutely.
being gay
I think the interesting part is I heard an interview with Patrick Chan on TSN 1290 yesterday, and I mean he's a figure skater. I believe he's a 3-time world champion, and you know sexuality and stuff like that isn't as big of an issue in figure skating. And so he was just saying that sports, he calls sports almost the ultimate level playing field, just because as soon as you get on whatever surface it is your sport takes place on, it doesn't matter. All that stuff doesn't matter. It's what you bring to the table to contribute to your team. So I don't know. I think the whole locker room / dressing room dynamic is the big thing.
That's what
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And because so much of team sports does take place on the bench and in the dressing room, of course it goes where your head's at. I mean, the fact that coaches for decades have been giving you those big pep talks, and there's a lot of weight in the dressing room, and then when you add an element like that where people are throwing comments around, especially if it's around sexuality and you're all butt naked, I can't imagine that that's going to be an easy thing to try to deal with. And even if there are 10 people who are okay with it, there's probably, I mean, when you talk about 1 in 10 being gay, there's probably 1 in 10 people who are like a little uncomfortable with it as well.
For sure.
Right?
Maybe they'll start coming out too now.
Well,
and this is kind of interesting too, Mitchell. Maybe there's a parallel to this. I'm not really too sure, but also like you hear about how Don Cherry was the first, reporter to actually allow a female into a male locker room, right? So what if there's like, and now you're hearing about all these things, like he's rescinding that, saying like I want to change my mind on that. Like I'm saying like now I don't think female reporters should be allowed in there because of the way that the male athletes are treating the female reporters and disrespecting them when they're in there. So is there like does it get more complicated than that? Like, does it get more complicated with something like that? Like, is a guy like that's homosexual, does he have to now have a separate room because guys are going to be taunting him or giving him grief because he's in the locker room with them? Like, how much more complications come as from this? But I don't know.
I mean, I think you certainly hope not in that situation.
You do certainly hope not.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
I mean, the first female player to ever make it to the NHL, Manon Rhéaume, she was a goaltender for Tampa Bay. She had her own dressing room.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a different situation altogether. But I think the hope is, of course, that isn't needed. You know what I mean? Like, it's just everybody's equal. It's what you bring to the playing field, like I said before.
It's too bad that people assume that just because someone is gay that he won't be able to be in a dressing room full of other people changing without getting all crazy aroused, you know? Like, seriously, I mean, he's an adult, you know? Like,
but even that, just like, not even necessarily that, Jay, but just like the fact that some guys will just be like, you know, busting his balls all day or whatever. And then for a guy like that who just wants to be there to play ball and his sexual alignment outside of the workplace is in question, you know what I mean? It's got to tax him, like, on his soul. So I'm just.
Why would he come out? Like, I mean, this is actually, I guess, now that I know the other side of it, this has the potential of being really ugly. Homophobia going rampant in the sport world.
The way, the way that Kim was saying, it's all about where your head is at, right? So I mean, I would think, like, if you're an athlete that's trying to hold something back, your head's not really in the right place to be doing your best. And I guess the only way we'll see is if Collins does get signed and does play next year. I believe he's played 12 years in the NBA. So you'd like to think that he will get signed next year, and maybe there will be an urgent push, like we were talking about earlier, to be that franchise that signs him. But again, you know, you like to think that he's being signed for his skill and everything like that.
Well, that's why OJ couldn't play anymore, right? Because after you kill your wife and you can't tell anybody,
True.
What a
keeping it in your head all the time, right?
Yeah.
Messes with your game.
He's off his game for sure, yeah.
I would agree. We got to take a quick break. We're coming back with the pesticide ban, which is going to be an interesting topic. Round up your Roundup.
Somebody had to say